Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com, and today I have something really fun and special for you. I want to show you how to make the comfy cable shrug. And this is the shrug, you can see. And this is a lot of fun to make, and it feels like wearing a big cabled hug when you wear it. And I'm really looking forward to wearing this this winter, this fall. And this is actually a project for intermediate crocheters. But if you're a beginner who is confident of the basic stitches, I think you could possibly learn this cabling pattern. So if you want, just go ahead and give it a look and see what you think. But anyway, before we get any further, if you could just hit that little subscribe button, and if you could hit the bell, that way you'll be getting my notifications. And if you like the project, as always, if you could just give me a good thumbs up, that would really encourage my heart. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and I'll show you what you're going to need for this project.
For this project, you're going to need skeins of Premier Yarns Parfait. And let me give you the information. This is 100% polyester. The number of skeins will appear below on the screen. And this is a bulky weight. Each skein has 574 yards or 525 meter, 10.5 ounces or 300 grams. Okay, you are also going to need a size K or 10.5 or 6.50 millimeter crochet hook, or whichever you would need to reach gauge. And you're going to need a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors. All the gauge information that you need for the various sizings are going to be included in the pattern, which can be purchased in my Lovecraft stores. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. To begin, we're going to start with a slip knot. And be sure that you leave a nice sized tail here so that it is easier for weaving in the ends once we finish the project. Okay, we're going to chain 97 chains. After chaining those 97 chains, we're going to start by working a single crochet in the second chain. That's 1, 2 from the hook. And we're going to work a single crochet in each chain all the way across. Once you complete all these single crochets, you should have a total of 96 single crochets at the end of row 1. So go ahead and complete those 91 single crochets. This is what you should have after completing row 1 with 96 single crochets across that foundation chain. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to skip the first single crochet, but starting in the second, we're going to work our first wattle stitch, which is a single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Okay, so now after you make the wattle stitch, you always skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, along the foundation rows anyway, and then we make another wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. We're going to do 8 of these to begin. So we have 1, 2, and so I'm going to do 6 more. I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Skip the next 2, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now this is a good time for me to explain something for some of my new viewers. If my crocheting is just a little too fast for you, first of all, I apologize if that's the case, but I also want to put you in charge. So if you wanted to slow any of these videos down, right in the lower corner here, you should see a little gear. And if you click on that, it will bring up the options for you to adjust, either increase or decrease the playback speed. If you are viewing this from a cell phone, if you look up in the upper corner, there should be 3 dots that are vertical. If you click on that, and you should also, that would also bring up a menu so that you can adjust the playback speed. And this goes not just for this video, but any of my videos or any other videos that you might find on YouTube as well. So let me go ahead and continue. So now I've made 1, 2, 3, 4 of the wattle stitches. I need to do 4 more. So I'm skipping 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, skip the next two, single crochet, chain one, double crochet. We're going to be doing this stitch a lot for this project. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet, chain one, and double crochet. Let's stop and check to see how many we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need one more. Skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. Now we're going to begin the foundation for the cables that are going to be worked across the back. So we're going to skip these 2 stitches again as part of the wattle stitch. That's where that wattle stitch is going to lie down. And this is what we're going to repeat. We're going to repeat 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. Okay, and then a half double crochet. We're going to do that a total of 11 times. So that was 1. So now we do 3 double crochets, and then a half double crochet. The half double crochets are actually going to act as spacers once we have these cables a little more developed. So 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the next stitches, and then a half double crochet, 3 double crochets, and then a half double crochet. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off camera, but I will show you what I have once I complete 11 repeats of this. After completing 11 repeats of the 3 double crochets and then a half double crochet, I want you to work 3 more double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're going to be ending on a double crochet, not the half double. Okay, after we've done that, we're going to finish out the row with 8 wattle stitches again. So in that next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet, chain one, a double crochet, skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet, chain one, double crochet, wattle stitch in the next, skip 2, and go ahead and do this till you get to the end of the row. After working those 8 wattle stitches, you should have 2 stitches left, 1, 2. Go ahead and work a single crochet in that last stitch, just like that, and row number 2 is complete. Now we're going to start row number 3. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip the first single crochet and this double crochet. And for the wattle stitches, we're only going to work in this chain 1 space here of each of the wattle stitches for the next, well, 8 stitches anyway. So we work a single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet, wattle stitch in that first chain 1 space. Okay, we're going to skip the single crochet and the double crochet and then go to the next chain 1 space, which is right here, and we work the next wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. We're going to do this. Okay, so we've done 2, so we got to do 6 more. Go to the next chain 1 space. I'm not going to say skip this and skip that for every stitch because that gets really old fast. But just know that you're only working in the chain 1 spaces at this point for these wattle stitches. And it's kind of maybe a little more difficult to see with this yarn, but I really love the texture that this makes. And once you work these for a few rows, you'll understand how they work pretty well. And it just kind of changes things up a bit. It gives it a different crocheted look that I really enjoy using this. I use this a lot in my designs. Also, it also produces a very flexible fabric in all directions, so it creates a lot of ease for garments that you wear. Alright, so let me see if we have all 8 of these. Okay, I think we do. Let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now this is where we start to define things a little bit better. So the next stitch we're going to work in are these 3 double crochets, but we're going to work front post double crochets. That's the front post where you go in and you go around the body of the stitch like you're giving it a belt, and then you just complete your double crochet. So we have 3 of these front post double crochets, and then there is a half double crochet, and we're going to work through the top loops of the half double crochet, and we're going to do that a total of 11 times with the 3 front post double crochets, and then through the top loops of the half double. Let me step back and see now you can start to see where the cables are going to pop a bit more, and these half double crochets are going to kind of recede to the background. They form kind of a space for our work and help to add definition to what we're going to be doing. And do be sure that you work through the top loops and not make those into a front post stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this 11 times, the 3 front post double crochets, and then that half double worked through the top loop. So I'll go ahead and get these 11 groupings done. After getting these 11 repeats of the 3 front post double and a half double crochet, we come to 3 more stitches, and you just simply work 3 front post double crochets, 1 over each of those stitches. I'm running out of yarn here. Okay, so we end with those 3 front post double crochets, and then after that we go back to the wattle stitches. So go ahead and skip over this double crochet and go right for that chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and go ahead and do that in these 8 chain 1 spaces, making sure you're only working in those chain 1 spaces. At the end of the row, you will have that chain 2 space right here. Go ahead and work a single crochet in that space. Now we're ready for row number 4. Okay, so row 1 was the single crochet row, and we have 2 other rows worked with our pattern as we're establishing it. Okay, so row number 4, we're going to chain 2, and again we're going to work just in the chain 1 wattle spaces, and this is the way each row again will begin. Single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So go ahead and work that in those 8 chain 1 spaces. After working those 8 wattle stitches in those chain 1 spaces, we're going to come to the cable section, and so now we are going to work 3 back post double crochets, 1 in each of the next post stitches that were worked the last row. 1, 2, 3, and then we work a half double crochet in that half double crochet, and you can see that's much easier to see once we get a row or 2 under our belt, so to speak. So that's going to be our repeat for 11 times is 3 back post double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches, and then a half double crochet worked through the top loops of that half double crochet. So go ahead and do that 11 more times, or actually 11 times total, counting this as the first repeat. After those 11 repeats, we're just going to do 3 more back post double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches, and then after that we're going to follow up with the 8 wattle stitches worked only in those chain 1 spaces, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. That's our wattle stitch. You'll probably be doing these in your sleep tonight. Hopefully not, but anyway. So go ahead and finish out those 8 remaining wattle stitches worked in those chain 1 spaces, and we end the row by working a single crochet in this chain 2 space at the beginning of the row. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what we have. This is with the back side facing that we just completed working, and when we turn it around, we get the foundations for all of these cables. And this next row 5 is going to be where we actually cross the cables. Let me double check. 1 2 3 4, that's correct, row number 5. So we're going to start with a chain 2, and as the other last 3 rows began, we began by working the waddle stitches in that chain 1 space. Again, we're going to be doing this a lot at the beginning of every row. So go ahead and work those 8 waddle stitches, 1 each of those chain 1 spaces. Now this is where it gets interesting. We're actually going to cross each of these cables, but each of them is going to be crossed in a slightly different way, or at least 2 different ways. We're going to first start by skipping the first 3 front post stitches, and we're going to half double crochet in that half double crochet space. Okay, you have big gap right there. Now we are going to front post treble crochet. Notice I wrapped the hook twice. We're going to use front post trebles, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches. Once I get my yarn to uncurl. Wrapping that hook twice for the treble. And this is the only time you're going to use these trebles, is when you are actually crossing the cables. Now, because we're working what I like to call the wheat stitch, we're going to work the next 3 stitches behind these last 4 stitches. That would be the 3 treble, front post trebles, and the half double. And the way we do this, I hope you can find this very doable. We wrap the hook twice. I'm going to come in behind my work and come into this big hole right here, and then I'm going to grab this next stitch. Now, a good way that I can do this is I feel this stitch with my thumb, and I'm going to poke my thumb up through the hole right like this. Okay, so I can show you that I am doing a front post treble. I am depending heavily upon the nerve endings in my tall man and in my thumbkin finger. So let me show you the next stitch. Again, we're coming in through this large opening here and put my thumb up there, and I'm going to wrap the stitch, doing a front post treble around the next stitch. And then we have one more stitch, and it is right here. So I'm going to, again, coming into this large hole here and bringing my thumb up just to show you where that stitch is. Okay, so I have made the crossing of the cable, and I've worked 3 front post trebles over these other stitches here, but they are behind these 3 stitches. Okay, what this does is it opens the cable to kind of go out this way, kind of like a wheat stalk. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do after those 3 front post trebles worked behind these 3 trebles, we're going to half double crochet in the next half double crochet. Now the other side of the cable, which is going to be worked over these next 2 groupings here, is it's going to go out this direction, which is much easier to do. Okay, so we've worked the half double crochet here. Now we're going to work the half double crochet over here. So we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and we're going to work a half double crochet in that next stitch. Okay, so this looks kind of like a mess. I realize that. It's going to clear up in just a second here. Now we're going to work 3 front post trebles, 1 in each of the next 3 post stitches. Okay. Now working in front of the last 3 stitches I just made, we're going to front post treble in these 3 stitches. Okay, and that's much easier. You just reach across and front post treble in each of these stitches, just like so. I know this is a lot at first. If you've never seen this style of cabling, this is something I kind of devised myself. It's my little variation on it. And once you see a few more rows, you'll understand. I think this kind of helps to smooth out the boxiness that I see in a lot of other crocheted cables that I'm really not a fan of. So I think it kind of smooths it out a little bit. It helps give it more definition. Okay, so we're going to half double crochet in the next stitch. And we are, for the most part, done with one large cable. Okay, so now we have two more to do this. We're going to repeat just what I showed you there 2 more times, but I'm going to walk you through this section. Okay, so now we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, half double crochet in that next stitch, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, I need to get some more yarn. Okay. Now again, working behind these 3 stitches, we're going to front post treble over these stitches, and we do that by coming in this big hole right here, and I'm going to pop my thumb up through there because I know that this is the stitch we're working on. And I'll try to do that again. I'm doing this kind of the slow way just so that I know, so I can show you how to do this. So I'm coming in this large hole, and I'm going to be working on this stitch next. So I'm going to bring my thumb up. My thumb is telling me that yes, the needle, or the hook rather, wrapped around the stitch. And then do this one more time, coming in the hole here. And this is the stitch I want. This is that last front post stitch that I'm working a front post treble around. And then we half double crochet in that next half double crochet. Okay, so this should be out on top and this one underneath. And now we do the other half of this wheat cable. We skip the next 3 stitches, half double crochet in the next stitch, front post treble in each of the next 3 stitches, and now this is the easier part, working in front of the last 4 stitches, those 3 front post treble and the half double. We're going to front post treble in the 3 stitches that we just skipped. Oops. Make sure that's yarn goes in the right place, okay? And then let's follow that up with another half double crochet. Okay, let's take a look at what we have there. Okay, so you see you have these 2, this going out like this, and then this one also going out like a wheat stalk. And again, I know it looks a little bunched up and messy right now, but that's all going to change once we add extra rows. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. Skip the next 3 stitches, half double crochet in the next stitch, front post treble in each of the next 3 stitches, now we're going to be working behind the last 4 stitches. I'm going to come into this hole. We're going to front post treble in these 3 stitches, but they're going to be worked behind the last 4 stitches that we worked. Again, coming in to this large opening, you can feel it more than you can see it. And then this is the stitch we want next. I'll pop it up, put my thumb through that big hole there. It just helps a lot to guide my hand. Okay, so, and again, here's that hole, and here's the last stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it up right there. And that's the first half of this last large wheat cable, and then half double crochet in the next stitch, skip the next 3 stitches, half double crochet in that next half double, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, working in front of these stitches that we just completed. We're going to front post treble in the 3 stitches that we skipped. Let's get through all the loops. That makes it much better. Need more yarn. Okay, now we're ready to begin our wattle stitches, but let's take a look. We have one large wheat cable crossing here, another one here, and another one there. Okay, so after we do that, we're going to go right into our wattle stitches, which would be the single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, again worked in that chain 1 space. So go ahead and finish those 8 wattle stitches to the end of the row. At the end of the row, again, single crochet in that chain 2 space. And now we're ready to turn. And now we're going to have the back side facing us. This was row number 6. Chain 2, just like the other times. Start by working that single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, that wattle stitch in each of the next 8 chain 1 spaces. After those 8 wattle stitches, we've reached the cable crossing, and this is going to be a little interesting, so try to stick with me here. I'll try to go slowly. We're going to work 3 back post double crochets, one in each of the next 3 post stitches. Okay, now this is where they crossed before, and so right in that space between these last 3 stitches and the next 3 stitches that we're going to work, I want you to work a half double crochet right in the center of the cable. And this is not going to change the stitch count, so don't need to worry about that now. And now we work 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to skip this half double crochet. So because we added 1 here and we're skipping this half double crochet, it kind of equalizes the stitch count, so it doesn't add or take away anything. Now in the next half double crochet, which is right here, go ahead and half double crochet through the top loops of that stitch. Now we're going to do this again. 3 back post double crochets. Notice we're doing double back post doubles and not trebles. We only do the treble crochets on the crossing of the cable. Okay, so we've done 3 back post double crochets. Again, this is another place where the cable was crossed, and this is the space in between. So go ahead and put a half, whoops, that's a single, do a half double crochet in the center there, and then 3 more back post double crochets. And that's pretty much your repeat, but I'm going to go ahead and walk you through every stitch in the middle of these cables. Okay, let me show you the front side here. Okay, it's still not looking that great, but it will as soon as we get more rows, but it just kind of helps to smooth this out. All right, so I'm just going to continue to walk you through the rest of these. Okay, so we're going to skip this half double, and then we're going to work in the middle of this half double. Now the half double that we're skipping is kind of hidden back in the work. All right, so now 3 more back post double crochets. And again, that brings us to where the cables were crossed. Go ahead and work a half double in between that, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Again, skip this half double crochet, and we're working in the next half double crochet. And it looks like we have just a few more to do. 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then again, this is where the cables were crossed. Go ahead and work a half double crochet right in the middle of that, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then a half double crochet in the next half double crochet. If I can get it through the top loops, there we go. And that brings us, we have 1 more, the last large weave cable. 3 more back post double crochets. Half double crochet worked in the center. 3 more back post double crochets. So once you get the hang of the way these cables work, I think you're going to really enjoy it. There is a learning curve. I understand that. Okay, skip the next half double crochet in the next half double. There is a learning curve, but once you get past that, I think you're going to really enjoy these. Okay, 3 more back post double crochets, and I promise you they're a lot easier, I think, than knitting. You don't have to worry about dropping stitches. Just have to make sure that you understand where to crochet the stitches, and they do get a lot bigger a lot faster than knitting. Okay, now a half double in the middle of that cable, and 3 more back post double crochets, and that brings us to the wattle stitches. And go ahead and go right to the wattle stitches in the chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. By working them so close to the wattle stitches, it helps to minimize larger gaps otherwise. So go ahead and finish out those 8 wattle stitches. Now we're ready to begin row number 7, which is actually a repeat of row number 3, which is where we began working the 3 front post double crochets, half double, just 3 front post doubles, half double. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and work that through with you. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to work in those chain 1 spaces, work those 8 wattle stitches. After working those 8 wattle stitches, we come to our cable section, and we're going to work 1 front post double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. And we're going to work a half double crochet in that half double crochet, and then a front post double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Okay, so it helps to form it like this, and we're going to do that across the cable section. So half double crochet in the next half double, 3 front post double crochets, followed by half double crochet in that half double crochet. So go ahead and work that across this cabling section. So it's pretty simple for these rows. When you repeat rows 3 and 4, just 3 front post double, half double, and a half double. Okay, so go ahead and repeat that across the rest of this section. After working those front post double crochets, make sure that you end with the last 3, just 3 front post double crochets. We don't end with that half double. And then we work our wattle stitches. We work single crochet, chain 1 double crochet in each of those 8 wattle stitches. So go ahead and finish those out. And don't forget, when you get to this chain 2 turning chain, go ahead and work a single crochet in that space there. Row 8 is a repeat of row 4. We're going to begin with the chain 2 and working in those wattle spaces in the chain 1 spot, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Make sure you work those first 8 waddle stitches. When you get to the cabling section, you're going to be working 3 back post double crochets and a half double crochet. We're going to do that 11 times and then followed by 3 back post double crochets. So go ahead and work this. I'll go ahead and work a couple of these with you actually. So 3 back post double crochets and then a half double crochet. Work through those top loops of the half double. So go ahead and work that through that cabling section. And after those last 3 back post double crochets, and we work those 8 waddle stitches. So let's go ahead and work those, and don't forget that you're going to end with a single crochet in the turning chain. At the end of row 8, this is the way your cables should be looking at this point. Now I'm going to give you an assignment here. We're going to repeat rows 7 and 8 one more time. That would be the rows using the front post double crochets and half doubles, of course, in between. And then the row coming back, which uses the back post double crochets, just like we did. So go ahead and work rows 7 and 8 one more time. Okay, this is what you should have after completing row number 10. Now from this point on, I'm going to give you an assignment. You're going to be repeating rows 5. Now row 5 is where the cable is crossed. Say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now rows 9 and 10 are the same as rows 7 and 8 where we work the front post and then the back post. Okay, so I'm going to have you repeat rows 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 over and over until the piece is the width that you would like from one arm to the other. We're actually making this sweater, it's actually like this. We're going from one arm to the other. So make sure that you're following the pattern according to how wide you want this to be. I'll show you what I have once I get to that point, and I'll show you how many cables that I have, or how many repeats of rows 5 through 10.
After working this cable pattern back and forth for 41 rows, I have a total of 13 cables or 12 repeats of the original stitches, and they are listed on your pattern, and I'll list those right there at the bottom of the screen. And you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows after that for a little half cable. Okay, I will list how many repeats below. Okay, now at that point we are going to fold with the cables longward and the inside face, the right side facing inside. And what we are going to do, I'm going to show you how to do this up close, but I'm just showing you from afar to show you just what we're doing. We're going to actually crochet or sew, depending on what you prefer to do, a portion of this end together, just a few inches, and I will show you that up close. And then we're going to do the same on the other end. And by doing this, you're going to form these big openings for the arms. And then after we finish sewing these 2 small sections, we are going to turn it with the right side out. That's very important. And then we are going to crochet around each armhole. And I'm going to show you how to work a ribbing stitch using the front post and back post double crochet. We're going to do that around both arm openings. And then we are going to work that same ribbing magic around the big opening, which is the part that goes over our shoulders and covers the back side of our body. Okay, so I will show you how to do that. Now also, I think I wanted to mention that if you wanted this to be wider, let's say for the 2X or the 3X sizes, you may want to go ahead and add another repeat, which would give you another cable on this end. Okay, all that information is in the written pattern. So again, go ahead and widen that now if that's your preference. But honestly, the size that I just showed you can really comfortably fit anybody who's really small to size large, maybe even extra large, because people, you know, the distance across the shoulders doesn't vary as much as it might on the front part of the body. That's why these can fit a variety of body shapes and sizes. All right, well, let me go ahead and show you how to finish this off.
Okay, as I showed you before, the right side is facing to the inside, and I have the two corners held together. Now, there's really not a reason to pin this or anything because we are going to do a very small amount. It's going to be about 1.5 inches. Okay, so I've chained one with my hook. I've decided instead of sewing it with a whip stitch, I am going to crochet these together. I think it's going to give it more stability. So I'm going to go into this stitch, which is the one facing me, and into the one I'm connecting it to. We're just going to do a slip stitch. That's one. Go into the next stitch. That's 2. And the next 3. And the next one 4. And we're going to do one more. 5. Now we're going to do about the same distance on the other side, and I'll show you that in just a second. But even for the larger size, just do a tiny bit because you don't want to, you know, work into the other section too much because then that limits how big that opening is going to be. Go ahead and give it a chain, give it a tug, and then we are going to clip that and pull it through. And so we'll have to hide that loose end in just a bit. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Okay, now I'm at the other end. I'm going to go ahead. I could actually try crocheting with this thread, but I think that might be a little too confusing for a lot of you. So I'm going to just join my yarn right here. This is on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and make a little slip knot like this. Just makes it easier to connect. And then give it a chain. And I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch there as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more. 5. Okay, that's about the same amount. Give it a chain and a tug there. I'm going to clip this. Notice that I'm leaving a nice long thread so that it's easy to weave in with our yarn needle once we get to that stage. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is to turn this right side out. Okay, so at this point, what you could even do is try it on to see if you like the fit. Because at this point, we are only going to add the ribbing, which is going to, be significant for the actual wearing of this item. But, you could certainly try this on. So now that I've turned the right side out, I'm going to join my yarn right down here, okay, right where the seam was. That way, it'll be hidden the most. Okay, so to join this, I'm going to stick my hook in where I'm going to join it. I'm going to do my little slip knot again like I showed you before. Just makes it easier to join the yarn. I'm going to chain, let's just chain 2 here because we are not going to be using this. This is not going to count as a double crochet. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to work in these waddle stitches. I'm going to work 2 double crochets in that chain 1 space and then 1 in the single crochet of those waddle stitches. Okay, so let me go ahead and work those around. I'm working on one of the sleeves, but both sleeves and the opening, the large opening, are all going to be worked the same exact way. So what I'm showing you here, you're just going to work around both arms and around the large central opening. Okay, so I'm going to work my way in these wattle stitches, 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space, and then 1 in the single crochets. Okay, once you get to the cabling portion, I want you to work front post double crochets over those post stitches. Okay, the half double crochets we are going to skip entirely and just do the front post double crochets over these cabling sections. Okay, we're skipping that half double right there. Again, skip that half double crochet. These sleeves are going to be large enough anyway, so this is going to, help to bring it in a little bit. And skip that next half double crochet. So go ahead and work this way across that cabling portion, and then when you get back to the wattle stitches, we're going to work again 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and then 1 in that single crochet. So go ahead and finish this and I'll show you the connection point. I've worked my double crochets all the way around, and since there's a sizable gap there, I'm going to add 1 more double crochet right like that, because that looks pretty good. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet of the round, just like that. Okay, now that is round 1. Now we are going to work the ribbing stitch all the way around, and so as we do the ribbing stitch, let's go ahead and chain 2, and we're going to work a front post double crochet, and then we work a back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet. And we're going to work this all the way around, alternating back and forth, and you're going to get this really nice ribbed effect. After you come around, when you've come all the way around, you're going to work a slip stitch in this stitch, the first double crochet, or actually it's a front post double crochet of the round, chain 2, and then again you'll work front post double crochet here, back post double crochet, front post, back post. Now this is the part where I'm going to let you be the designer. Some people don't like a lot of ribbing. I do. I'm going to have mine actually be kind of large. I'm going to go for 7 or 8 rounds on the, on the size of the ribbing, and I actually may do more on the inside opening. I'm not so sure yet. Letting you get a peek a little bit into the designer's mind. Now, depending on what you prefer, you can vary the number of rounds for the ribbing. Okay, you may even want to try this on as you're working on it and see, do you like the look of the longer ribbing or shorter ribbing? I'm definitely going to show you everything that I'm going to be doing with this so that you'll know my thoughts behind it and how I did it and so forth. But I'm going to go ahead and finish the ribbing, and when I get close to finishing off this side, I will show you exactly how many rounds I worked, and you'll get a feel for what it looks like. I wanted to go ahead and show you what I had after working 8 rounds. Let me go ahead and count these with you. Okay, this was the first when we connected to the bottom of the sleeve. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can really feel them with your fingers. So this is the width that I get. Now go ahead and measure this for you. Starting down there, it's approximately 3.5 inches of ribbing. Now, if you don't want that much, You can make this less. If you want this even larger, you can always add more rounds. This is where you get to be the designer. Now I'm going to show you how to attach the yarn to the other arm because I realize it's slightly different than what we've just done here. Okay, as we look at the other end, or the other sleeve rather, you can remember that this was our foundation chain. Okay, so instead of having to work 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and then 1 in the single crochet, it's actually much easier, except when we get to the cabling, we're just going to have to be sure that we skip some stitches. So let me show you what I'm going to have you do. This was the first chain that we started with. I'm going to go ahead and work my slip knot. Try to get out in the light here for you. And we're going to chain 2, remember, because this does not really play into the stitch count. Okay, so now starting in the next stitch, we're going to go ahead and work a double crochet. Now you can also find, you can look and see the single crochets that we worked on that first round. So we're or actually it was a row back then. Now we've changed it to a round. We're just going to work 1 stitch opposite every single crochet that we see. And as we do that, we're going to be going through, if you see this, there are 2 strands left of that chain. Go ahead and work through both of them. And for those of you who are worried about the stitch count, as you ought to be, the stitch count should be the same or within 1 or 2 stitches. That really isn't going to matter. It's going to be the same as what we did on the other side, just the way we skipped the stitches on the second row. I know this is getting more information than you need, but just for those of you who feel like you need the information, remember we did the wattle stitch here, then skip 2 stitches and then another wattle stitch. So that's really a total of 3 stitches per wattle stitch, and that's exactly what we were doing on the other sleeve. So the stitch count should, for all practical purposes, remain the same. Well, I'm going to just work 1 double crochet in each stitch here until I get to the cabling portion, and then I'll show you how I'm going to have you work that. Now, once we've reached the section with the cables, I'm going to have you work 1 double crochet kind of opposite these cables here. So that's 1, 2, 3. And since we were skipping the half double crochet, go ahead and skip the next stitch. 4, 5, and 6. Okay, like this. Now you do see a small gap there. Don't worry about that, because once we work the front post and back post double crochets, I don't believe that's going to be an issue. Okay, so now after we work those next 3, we're going to skip the next one, which would be right here, and then work the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, like that. And you're going to work that, continue to do that through the cabling section. And then once you pass the cable section and get back to the wattle stitches, just 1 in every stitch around. And that should have, you know, that should be fine all the way around. And then after you do that, you're going to finish it the same way you did the other sleeve, right back here, by chaining 2, and then beginning with the front post double crochet, then a back post double crochet all the way around. Okay, after completing those 8 rounds, I simply joined with a slip stitch and fastened off, and you can see the nice ribbing on the other sleeve. Now we are ready to work the body opening, and this is what's going to take probably the longest as far as the finishing off. Okay, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you start at the join right here, and I'm going to slip my hook in, and then I'm going to make a little slip knot. And pull it through. Make sure, just, yeah, there you go. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now I'm going to actually do a double crochet in the same place as joining, since this is the corner part where the join is, and I want to make sure that there are plenty of stitches here. Now I'm going to go ahead, and this is the join. I'm going to skip that join, and I'm going to put another double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to be working along row ends here, and you're going to notice that there's going to be a kind of a wide opening here, and then a smaller opening, a wide opening. So this is where a chain 2 is, I believe, and then what looks to be a single crochet. So what I'm going to have you do, and this is going to be completely all the way around, there's going to be quite a number of stitches around this. We're going to work 2 double crochets in the larger opening, and then we're going to work 1 in that smaller opening along the edge. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of these for you. There's a larger opening. Do 2 double crochets in that space, and then with the smaller opening right there in that single crochet, just put 1 double crochet. So you're going to do this all the way around. 2 double crochets in the larger opening, and then 1 in the smaller opening. Now when you get to the other side, the other join, which is, let me see, let's take a look at it together. And yours might look slightly different depending on how you joined it, but when you get to that opening, you can just put 1 here, then on the other side of that slip stitch, put 1 here, and then it looks like I have the slip stitch here, so I can put 1 here, and then 2 here, 1 in the smaller opening, 2 in the smaller openings. And if you have an extra stitch or 2 here or there with the opening, it really does not matter. Okay, so I don't want you to be, counting all these stitches and, having a minor meltdown because, oh my gosh, I'm 1 or 2 stitches off. Well, I'm not even going to give you the stitch count on this. As long as you're doing 1 in the small space and 2 in a large space, you will be totally fine. And then once we join with a slip stitch, I'll just let me tell it to you. We're going to do the same thing that we've done on the sleeves. You're going to do a front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet. I will go ahead and show that to you, but I just want you to know where we're headed with this right now. After working these double crochets all the way around, I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet of that round. I did count the stitches. I have 240 double crochets all the way around. Now, if you have maybe a few less or a few more, by few, 2 or 3 more or less, either way, I think you're still going to be fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, if you're doing the larger size, of course, your stitch count is going to be more. But if you have fewer than 240, then you need to rework this so that you have enough stitches for doing the final portion, the ribbing around the outer body part. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2, and then just like we did with the arms, we're going to work a front post double crochet and then back post double crochet all the way around, and we're going to do this for a total of 7 more rounds. So we'll have a total of 8 rounds of ribbing. Of course, the first row has already been worked. But we are going to do this for 7 more rounds. So go ahead and do that. After working this ribbing all the way around, I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that first front post double crochet, just like that. And then I'm going to give it a chain and give it a tug. And I am now going to cut the yarn like so, leaving a nice long thread. Okay, make sure I pull that tight. Now I'm going to show you just a real quick tutorial on what to do with these threads once you complete your work, because this is very important. Hiding these loose threads will really just really finish off the work very well. Okay, so I like to hide my strands on the back side, and I'm going to go down into that last stitch that was worked. And there's really not any hard and fast rules on doing this. It's just that you want to hide the strands so that they don't pop out. You want to hide enough of them so that they don't show up again, and so that your work is secured. And you also want to hide them in such a way, let me show you, that they don't show on the front side. So that, I think, is going to be plenty. Just like that. I'm going to go a little bit further just because I can. This is the last thread. I'm going to hide it really well. And you see I'm just going down into the stitches there. And given the amount of friction on this type of yarn, I'm pretty sure this is never coming out again. And then you clip very close to your work, but do not clip those stitches. That would be a tragedy, to say the least. Okay, so I have hidden that stitch, and I've got several more on the inside of my project that I do need to go back and hide. But I'm going to go ahead and do that, and once I do that, I will be finished, and I will show you what this looks like.
Well, I hope you enjoyed making the Cozy Cable Shrug. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and if you could hit the bell, you'll get the notifications, and thumbs up if you like the project. Well, thank you guys for joining me. God bless. Bye-bye.